Welcome back, everyone, to A Cup of Coffee, the show to go with your morning cup of coffee. I'm Umar, and this is my co-host, Amaan.
Hey everyone.
And we're back again this week. Amaan, what have you been thinking about?
What have I been thinking about this week? So, honestly, again, it's been a lot of video games, but I have been thinking about like how to be a bit more creative. Um, like just because I feel like it's such an interesting thing to be able to come up with your own way of doing things. Sometimes you feel like you're just copying other people. Like when you go to school or something like that.
Right.
I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like I'm just being told to do something and I'm doing it in the way that I'm being told to do it. But when you start to try and be creative, then it's like, how do I do things my own way? And then when you come up with your own way of, like, say you come up with your own kind of diet that you want to do, right? Then you're much more inclined to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so just trying to be myself in a way that's productive, I guess, is the best way that I can put it. I just want to be able to build healthy habits for myself right now, and be as creative as possible, and learn a bunch of new things, but do it on my own terms. You know what
So
I
like,
mean?
basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to build these creative habits and strategies, but like custom make them for yourself instead of adopting ones that are already out there.
Exactly. Like, one thing that I'm doing with my diet is because like I'm not so great at dieting, is I've had like, you know, no chips under any circumstances. If I do get junk food, I can, like maybe I can have chocolate or some sort of candy, but chips are
Mm-hmm.
off limits, right? Like no matter what. Right? If I do need that sugar rush or I do need some, sort of fat and I really want junk food, I can get something, but no chips, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like that works for me, slowly transitioning into it because everybody's different. And the fact
Mm-hmm.
that I came up with this myself, this idea of slowly transitioning into it very slowly,
Right.
uh, it seems to be working for me, and that might be because it's my own genuine idea. So, I feel like things are much more appealing to me when, I'm doing them on my own terms. It's like that thing where, you were about to clean your room, and then your parents walked in and told you to clean your room, and now you don't want to do it anymore. I'm much more inclined to do things when I've come up with it myself and I want to do that. So that's just something that I've been thinking about this week. What about you, man?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it's kind of related to the process of creativity. So I follow this account on Instagram that posts Big Nate comics,
Mm-hmm.
because I was a fan of them when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and the other day I was taking a look at one of them, and uh, so they had this whole arc about defunding the art department,
Hmm.
and that just because the school's cutting some budget, so they decided that they were going to cut the art department and fire the art teacher, and that just kind of I just that just kind of got me thinking because I'm sure like it might be fiction, but I'm sure this happens like a lot in schools where the first thing they'll cut is their creative arts programs and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I definitely get that. I've seen like yeah, a lot of people care more about a $10 million football stadium than they care about, the kids' art program.
right, because it's not even it doesn't cost anywhere near as much as the $10 million football stadium, but still
Mm-hmm.
they'll cut their funding, and I was just thinking like, dude, like isn't that a reflection of like where we are, of basically what we value? Because
Yeah.
since we're because because like we fund sports, right? Because they're fun. Sports are fun to watch, and it's a good outlet for a lot of people, especially like
Yeah.
those that are dealing with things at home. Sports can be a good outlet for them. But I'm just thinking, art is just as important as an outlet, and we get a lot of good things out of art as well. The stuff you have hanging around your house, uh, like it, and like the movies and shows we watch, they don't exist without these artists. There's people doing the animation work, the concept art,
Mm-hmm.
even the writers. Writing is a part of the whole creative process, and we don't
Yeah,
really have that
writing is an
many.
art too.
you don't really have, that many creative writing classes in many schools, or like they're not really encouraged that much to the point where not that many people take them. So I'm just thinking like, do we as a society value art? Well, I think,
I
and I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think we value it in the sense that, we look at pieces of art and media and stuff, and we consume them and we enjoy them, but we don't appreciate it because of the lack of support and nurturing we give it.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think there's maybe on a like in the school system it doesn't seem appreciated as much. Of course, you get to a higher level, I do think it's appreciated more than it is in school and more than it's taught to us growing up, because you see like art museums and stuff like that. We have some great ones in Dallas, the DMA and some other places. So it is
Mm,
appreciated a bit more like in society as a whole. But I don't think it's pushed like as much growing up. And I don't know if this is the reason, but one thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about like the football stadium and how a lot more effort's put into that than into the art program, maybe it's because, people come together at football games, to watch the game and root for a team, and it builds like school spirit and all this. So the school's gaining a lot more out of that. So maybe for their own personal benefit, like, and for I guess selfish reasons, but I wouldn't call it completely selfish reasons. But just for the school spirit, they want students to be able to come to these games and feel together and all that. Whereas with art, the benefit that you're getting is not, it's not benefiting the school as a whole, but it's more beneficial to the students because it lets them be more creative and let out, a lot of the maybe, art is a stress reliever sometimes, drawing and writing,
right.
depending on who you are, right? So it could be really good for the students, and maybe some of them have a hidden talent that they never knew about. Maybe some of them were never introduced to it, right? And so you're kind of hiding them from that by pushing sports a little too much, or not even just sports, but anything other than art that seems to be pushed a lot more.
Right.
It just seems like we're not as focused as getting these kids to be creative. And that's like what I talked about is, you never really feel like you're doing anything on your own terms. You never feel like you're coming up with any of your own ideas. You're just doing what you've been told for since you were born. And so that starts to take away from your creativity. And that's why it's much more appealing to us to come up with our own ideas and do those kinds of things.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, just because maybe because it's not pushed as much, you get maybe that's a lot of the reason why people are like, art isn't a viable career, it's not something you should
Hmm.
get into. Um,
Yeah.
just because it's not pushed at the earlier levels. Like, I think it'd be
Yeah.
a lot more appreciated if we pushed art at an earlier level, like in like kindergarten stuff. You're encouraged to be creative, but I feel like as you go on in school, you get less and less encouraged to, show off that creative aspect.
Yeah, definitely agree. And did I mention it in the last podcast about Salvador Dali, where he would attempt to fall asleep?
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And yeah, so just, I mean, we don't do things like that or talk about things like that anymore, where, like you try to come up with random creative ideas that are similar to your dreamlike state. I mean,
Hmm.
like where do we draw our inspiration from then, right? If we're not talking about things that are like we tend to stray away from things that seem so weird and out there, but I feel like you should, like, have you ever listened to your subconscious and you were like, okay, that's a little crazy, but then like it had an idea or something, right, that was like a little crazy, but then you
Hmm.
listened to it a little bit, right, and you were like, okay, maybe it's not so crazy.
I mean, that's how
Your
this
sub
podcast was born.
exactly, right.
I was just thinking, and I was sitting there in quarantine. I'm just like, I'm bored.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
I might as well.
yeah, because I was like, you know what? I'm playing video games. I'm doing writing. I'm, I'm learning some Japanese as well, just because of how bored I was. But I'm just like, this is
There you
not.
go.
And then I was like, this isn't fulfilling me. I was like, we need to do
Hmm.
something bigger. And then
Yeah.
I was just thinking about and then we'd have conversations, and I was like, other people should hear about these conversations.
Yeah,
I was like, we have
other
some
people should
interesting
hear about a lot of our
conversations.
conversations.
I was like, it'd be cool if other people could listen to our conversations. I was like,
Yeah,
but who'd listen to it? I was like, well, we'll just put it out there and let's see who'll listen to it.
exactly.
We
And
want
the
to
best part
know.
about it is we have nothing to lose by doing this, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
like,
all the like at the very least, we've had a good conversation with each other, and we've had a guest that we learned a lot from, and
right.
we learn a lot through this entire process, and there's really nothing to lose here, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand about art is they feel like it's a waste of time, but it's
Hmm.
really not. And I mean any kind of art. I mean writing, drawing, and a lot of others that are escaping my mind right now. But you could really consider anything to be an art. Game design to me is an art, and
Hmm.
to a lot of other people, they have their own art, and maybe it doesn't seem so much like an art, but you know, every teacher might feel like their own specified field is an art, right?
Hmm.
So the more that you think about what you're doing as something that's creative and interesting and different and kind of make it your own, then
Hmm.
you start to feel like, hey, maybe this can be something more, and you start to have ideas that are a little further away from what people consider reality,
Right.
and so you start to just and you have nothing to lose by doing that, right? Because at the end of the day, we still have school, and our worst case scenario, like we get a job somewhere, right?
Hmm.
And at the very least we can have something on the side, like a podcast or like your novel series or like the game that I'm trying to make,
Right.
something like that. That even if it doesn't make us money, even if people don't play it or watch it or read it, right?
Hmm.
At the end of the day, you still learned a lot from the experience and you got better because of it. So that means the next novel series that you write, the next podcast that we have, the next game that I make, right? It's all going to be better than it was before. And if we
Right.
keep going, then we can get there. And at if we stop, then maybe we didn't gain as much out of the experience.
Hmm.
But there's
I
always that, thing that you had fun.
Yeah, I think with art, like even if you're never successful, even if you make like 1,000 art pieces and none of them sell, I think you still gain something because you still gain some fulfillment, right? Because you put your soul into that work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I think fundamentally that's what art is. It's anything you put your soul into. Um,
Yeah,
and just like a
I get
part of you
that.
into it. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you got to be creative. You got to give yourself an outlet. You got to make
Mm-hmm.
something for you, and that
Yeah,
art in general is always for you first, isn't it?
it is. So, yeah, I feel like that's, like it feels like it's a part of you is such a huge thing because I mean, if somebody like if that was gone, you woke up one day and it was just like, somebody stole all of your art or something like that, it would feel like a part of you was missing, right?
Yeah, yeah, because that's why you hear like when people like when there's like a fire and someone loses all their artwork or a hard drive full of your all the stuff you've digitally done is gone.
Yeah,
That's why it hurts people so much because
exactly.
those weren't just a couple gigs of data. They were they were a part of you, and it feels like you've lost a limb or something.
Definitely. And yeah, it just I feel like it's not viewed that way enough. Like it's a part of someone. We always have this vision of reality. Like, okay, what you're doing on the side is cool, but you got to focus on getting good grades and getting a job and all that. Like,
Mm.
is that really like is what we're doing here is what we do on the side, is that not as important? Because
I think it definitely is because the job might it puts money in your bank account, puts food on the table, right? But oftentimes it doesn't really fulfill you like
mm-hmm,
emotionally and like I guess spiritually, and not in
yeah,
the like in the sense that it doesn't really fulfill your soul. A lot of them, like
Mm-hmm.
if you get a job that does both, like congrats, dude.
Yeah. The
Like
that is the dream. That is the dream. That
yeah, you're living the dream. But like oftentimes, you're working an office job, you're working a service job, you're waiting tables or something. You need that side sort of creative outlet just to, to have something that's yours, and like to really put your soul in, create something that's really a part of you and just fulfills you instead of, just doing the same thing over and over with slightly different. Uh,
exactly. Because it gets repetitive. I mean, one day I went to 7-Eleven and, I asked the guy at the counter, I was like, "Yeah, how's your day going?" And he's like, man, it just feels like I'm a robot now. Like I'm just doing the same thing every day, wake up, work, and eat, and that's about all there is."
I,
And that hit me because I feel that too sometimes with school and with, when I do have work. It just feels like I'm, repeating the same thing over and over again, and that can get so like it's bad for you to be in that position, but it also makes you feel like, maybe what I'm doing is pointless and maybe I can't do anything, and so all these thoughts start to cross your mind. But when you have a creative outlet, you feel, even if it's not making you money, like that's never the point. Even if nobody's recognized it,
mhm.
that's not the point. Even if it's just something that you're doing for yourself that nobody else in the world knows about, you still feel that sense of fulfillment, that sense of accomplishment, because you've done something that, not everyone in the world can do, right? And so it makes you feel different. It makes you feel creative. It makes you feel better. And, for anyone out there listening, I encourage you to find something and experiment with random things. Um, if you don't know what you love to do, then try out different things. Have you seen that one TED Talk where the guy said like it takes 20 hours to learn anything?
Right.
Have you seen that one?
I think you've mentioned it to me before, but I haven't actually seen it.
Yeah, so it's, like it's this guy that's talking about, well, we always say it takes 10,000 hours to become one of the best at something. It's Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule, right?
Right.
Like a lot of people talk about it takes 10,000 hours to be
Hmm.
a professional in a field. And so he's like, how long does it take to be pretty good at something? And it takes 20 hours, is what he deduced it to after a lot of research. And he said, like, so he learned how to play a lot of things. He learned how to do a lot of things within 20 hours, right? Like,
Hmm.
he would give it 20 hours and he would learn it. So I think a good way to go about life sometimes is, like, put your 20 hours into something that you don't know if you're going to like, if you're going to be good at it. And, eventually you'll find something that you like and love to do, and just do that to fulfill yourself and have a creative outlet and feel um, like your life isn't just, work and
Yeah.
school and the same thing as everyone else. We
Yeah.
all like to feel a little bit different.
I think yeah, art does a good job of giving you the opportunity to make something that's yours and yours alone. Like the art piece you make, even if you base it off of something you've read or something, it's yours. You made it, and no one
Mm-hmm.
else in the world has made it, will make it, or
Yeah,
can make it because you're the one. Because
you done it.
everything you write, every dance you do, every song you play, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it'll always have like some of your personality in it, and so
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's like it's a good way of basically putting, not really putting yourself out into the world, but like putting an extension of yourself into something.
Yeah, definitely. And that is one thing that I find really interesting about having your own art style, and your own writing style, your own um, anything, again, like any kind of art that you have, your own style to it. It just makes us feel original and unique, and there's really no feeling like that you can get anywhere else.
It's I guess it's like having your own personal world in a sense. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
this, like your own writing or dance style or style of playing something. It's your own little creative tool that you can I guess it's not your own world, but like your own tool to create worlds.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I think that's a good way to transition into who our guest is
Our
this
guest
week.
is Christy. She runs an Instagram page that we're going to talk about in our segment, and we're really excited to introduce her to you all.
All right, we're back, everyone, with our guest, Christy.
How's it
So,
going?
Christy, introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, as Amaan said, I'm Christy. I am kind of want to go with like a more interesting intro than like my standard. I'm a UTD student. I'm going to be a junior and I'm a bio major. Yeah, my name's Christy. I attending UTD. Yeah, you know what I mean. And I really like to draw cartoons. It's kind of my thing. Is that
Avengers mug.
an
It is
Avengers
an
mug?
Avengers mug.
Yes.
Actually,
Oh
when
my
it
God.
when it's hot, you can see everything, and then when it cools down, it becomes black, and you can just see the Avengers logo on this side. It's pretty sick.
That is so cool. I need to get one of those. I feel sad. Like I got this boring gray ceramic.
At least you don't have a weird looking blue color.
As both.
Yeah,
for those of us, for
Right,
those of you listening on Spotify or something, we have some ugly looking mugs except for Amaan.
Oh, I have a great looking mug.
You paid on my face?
Huh?
An ugly mug.
Anyway, the backstory.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so back to my anime character backstory. So I was super into anime and manga in middle school and high school too, but I started to get a little more busy high school, so I had a little less time to watch and read. Yeah, you know how it is. And then basically all my life I've never taken any art classes. I really wish I had, because there's a lot of valuable things you can learn from art classes, but my primary like extracurricular in middle school and high school was orchestra. So I played viola, which I really loved. I don't play anymore, but it was a hard choice for me to make, deciding whether I wanted to go into art as a hobby or music. And I think art has kind of stuck with me the whole time as kind of a side hobby. But now that I'm in college and I don't play solo anymore, I've been putting all of my time into my art. I do mainly.
So you've never taken an art class?
Never taken a single art class.
I've seen your work.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thanks.
You could teach art classes, and you've never taken one.
No way.
I saw the tutorial that you had. I saw a little tutorial that you had.
Oh,
it was nice, like how to draw a hand in there. I liked the one part where you.
Yeah, that one was controversial, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh. Is it the one, are you talking about the one, the first one I did, or the second one that was like satire?
I don't know. I've only seen one of them. Probably the second one.
This was my first, I guess, like controversy. Oh my God. Controversy can't even describe. It's like half a controversy. It was dumb of me. So me being like a cartoonist and comic artist, I like want to make all my drawings funny in some way. So but I thought, like a lot of artists are doing these tutorials, and I was like, I should do one. I think that would be good. Like I could teach people how to draw hands, because I know it's a common thing for a lot of artists. Like, oh, I hate drawing hands. So I was like, well, no further. This tutorial that you can look at. Then I had your basic, this is the anatomy of your hand, and this is how many joints you have, and like this is how they bend and things like that. And I had a slide for differentiating male and female hands. That was where everything went sour, because I don't know what I was thinking. I I like. Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, I saw that one.
That one. I don't know what I was thinking. I drew the female hand like a normal hand, and male and female hands do have some differences. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
You look at my hand, like, yeah, there you go. See, so both Umar and Amaan have more like sort of like a square palm and thicker fingers, and my fingers are a little longer, and my palm is a bit thinner. And then that's right, you guys said manly. That women can't have manly hands. My right hand is quite a bit more manly. Yeah. But yeah, I got in trouble with a lot of people because they were like, "Oh, the men." I basically didn't draw any fingernails on the hand because I subconsciously I was like, "Oh, fingernails are feminine. Men can't have fingernails." So everyone got super annoyed with me. And in the comments they're like, "Oh, men don't have fingernails," and I was like, "That's not what I was trying to say. I just
can't confirm."
It was just like
fingernails.
Yeah, I know. Is there you're a mutant if you have fingernails as a man. I feel really bad about that. That was like honestly my bad, and I still feel bad about it to this day.
So yeah, I did like the part where you were like, don't just focus on like always getting the details right. Like just keep sketching it out, and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I just thought it was a stylistic choice.
Kind of how I do it.
Like how in like a lot of animated shows, like I think Ruby's one of them. One difference that a lot of male and female characters have is the female characters will have bigger eyes. And then male characters will have more slanted eyes, and like it's like there are some, I think, some male and female characters that will be different, but like it's just a stylistic choice.
Yeah, Ruby's a beautiful show though. I love the animation style.
Yeah, I've seen some art. It's great.
Yeah, and was it? So it's made by Rooster Teeth, right? Is it an anime? Like,
I mean, it depends on what your definition of anime is, because
like what defines anime?
So for a lot of people, it's pretty much just cartoons from Japan, but for some, but for also for a lot of people, it's a specific style. Just because a lot of people consider stuff like Avatar and Ruby to be anime, even though they're made in the West. But it's. I guess it depends on who you ask. I guess. I personally.
Avatar's not an anime.
I personally
go
with I personally go with the definition that it has to be from Japan to be anime.
Yeah.
But then, well, that's what I went by before. But then, have you guys heard of the webtoon Tower of God?
No.
Yes.
It got an adaptation, but that's South Korean. So I'm like, is that anime then? Because it's not from Japan.
Anime?
Yeah. So it's very difficult to.
There are many schools of thought on the subject.
Yeah,
but Omar's the expert here.
True.
I watch less anime than you think.
I think you watch a lot of anime, so it's not saying very much. But wait, have we completed the backstory, right?
Yeah.
And the present. All right, awesome.
All right. So, just one question I had: what are some of the influences you've had on your art style? Like, I know you've mentioned that you're really into anime, and I can see that in your series, Mr. Johnson's on Artist. I can see the anime influence, but like, what specific? What specific things do you draw inspiration from for your art style?
That's a great question. I'd say definitely, primarily. Anime styling, not just with the way the characters look, but also kind of the punchy humor and sort of like exaggerated like situations that occur. That's a lot. That's really big in my comic series, and that's what I derive humor from most of the time. I'd say trying to think of something else, but it's like anime influence is so dominant that I'm not really sure if there's any.
I mean, you talk about specific anime and manga that influence the art style.
Oh yeah. So I would say style in middle school, since I watch a lot of Fairy Tail. It was like really influenced by Fairy Tail, but Naruto too. I have this huge, you guys can't see it, but I have this huge Naruto poster in front of me right now, and I'm just looking at it. I would say definitely shoujo and shonen manga have influenced my style a lot, and those are like the two most mainstream genres, I would say. But like how in for people who don't know, shoujo manga is like for young girls, and it's like
Sailor
a lot
Moon.
of romantic themes. Sorry, was that?
I think like stuff like Escaflowne and Sailor Moon.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, like very beautiful characters and things like that. I like that because I like my characters to be like attractive and beautiful. Well, most of the time. And
we can see that Mr. Johnson is not an artist.
Mr. Johnson's a beautiful man, I must say.
Oh, thank you. I have a compilation. I have a compilation of like thirst comments that I've received about him. It's great. I look at them every now and then.
I read them as well. They're amazing, but I can't blame them.
Yeah,
You're a fucking man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but I like every frame to make him look as like looking as possible, which is such a like such a silly reason to draw, but I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
So.
You could have another series called Mr. Johnson as a model.
Yeah, that's right.
Potentially.
Sequel.
By daytime, art teacher and math teacher. At night, model.
Yes. That's our new
I'd
series.
say those are my two big influences.
It's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I definitely see the humor. One of your funniest things that I thought was the it's escaping my mind, the name of the poem. Was it like the one where you said poetry is art too? What is it? Haikus. Yes, haikus. The haikus.
Yeah. That was actually like a big experiment for me. I kind of like to mix things up because I only post maybe once a week. So in the week's time, I'm trying to think of like something new that I can do or something I can do to fuse art with something else, so that there's so much content on Instagram, and so much good content gets kind of washed out because of how much stuff is being posted every day. So I try to make things a little different. Basically, what I did in that post was like try to write haikus about art. I don't know if you guys remember. Were you guys in Calc senior year?
I was in Calc.
AC Calc? UC Calc? So I don't know if you guys... You went to West, right, Amaan?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So I had Mr. Pitts for Calc.
Oh, no way, Calc. Me too. What period did you have?
Yeah, I was first period Calc.
Okay, I was in fourth period.
How about you, Omar?
I had Grider first period.
You had Grider, okay. Oh, you were right across the hall from me then.
Might have been, yeah.
So basically, Mr. Pitts had that haiku competition, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
my haiku won the competition.
No way.
I won for my class. I think I lost for the whole all his classes.
Yeah, we had a lot of competition.
Yeah. That made me think like, okay, I liked writing haikus, so maybe I could write haikus about art. That's where I got the idea from.
Yeah, that was a good one, definitely. And by the way, for everyone that's wondering what our Instagram is, it is spicy_ramen, right?
Spicy_ramen.
It's
Yeah.
At spicy_ramen. It's _arts.
All right. Cool. Check it out. Definitely check out the haiku post.
Yeah, it'll definitely be in the description.
For sure. So, very interesting question. I think you'll like answering this one. What is something that you are an absolute nerd about?
What am I an absolute nerd about?
Yeah.
It's a great question. I almost don't want to show you my room right now because this is like the normal half of my room, and then like if you can imagine, I show it to you guys. I'll just show it.
Go ahead, yeah. I mean,
I feel bad for your Spotify listeners.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we won't describe.
Or Apple Music. We don't discriminate. Oh my God.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of crazy posters and things I've collected over the years.
Yeah.
that back.
The only poster I have is a My Hero Academia poster that's next to my bed.
That's dope. Yeah, I've got quite a few posters as well. I've got Master Chief, Legend of Zelda, The Witcher 3, 2 Spider-Man posters, 2 Pokemon posters, Percy Jackson, Rick and Morty,
Percy Jackson.
Raven, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and an Overwatch poster that I haven't been able to take down because I've never played the game. My brother just put it up there because this is his old room. But yeah, I have plenty of posters as well.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll bond over our love of.
Yeah, I was gonna buy some. I was gonna buy some at a convention this year, but then.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, Amaan, a friend, and I were actually supposed to go to a convention, and then coronavirus.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It really be ruining everyone's plans.
I know, because it was only the second convention I've ever been to. Because I went to Acon last year, and I had a really good time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because I got a bunch of stuff. I got a My Hero Academia T-shirt. I love that show, by the way.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got
watch that one.
Yeah, I got a T-shirt, an Attack on Titan keychain, some cards. I got a picture. Have you seen the Glass Reflection? He's a YouTuber.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so he does anime reviews, and I got a picture with him, and he signed my ID card. And nice. I also got a picture with one of the writers behind the original Power Rangers.
No way, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
His name's Tony Oliver, and the character Tommy Oliver you might have seen in Dino Thunder later if you watched Power Rangers around 2004. Maybe. I watched it. I watched it a lot as a kid. And then I found out years later that apparently with Power Rangers they got some Japanese show. I think it's called Super Sentai, and they got the fight scenes from that show, and basically they dubbed over the fight scenes in English, and then filmed the scenes where they're out of costume with actual people. So like half the show is a different show that they just dubbed over.
That's weird.
Oh,
interesting. But yeah, I haven't been to a convention, but I would like to. And that first one was gonna be my first one, and then it got canceled because of the virus.
Oh,
yeah,
sucks.
Have you had any big plans canceled by the virus, Christy?
No, I right now no, I was just planning to study for my DAT, so that's what I've been doing for the summer.
Yeah, so that actually might have helped you. Get more studying and
distractions.
Yeah, definitely. But we find a way to make distractions. But,
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I was gonna go to Austin actually. The spring break that had happened, I was like planning on going to Austin in about a week, and then like we were in that spring break like where most people had spring break, and then UTD had it the next week. So everyone was still going out the week before us, and then during our spring break, everything closed down. So I didn't get to come to Austin. And if UTD just had a normal spring break, I would have been able to have my trip, and then all of this would have happened. But no, now I just missed out on the trip.
And then,
but it's all right.
It feels bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So more about Mr. Johnson, not an artist. What was your inspiration behind the character of Mr. Johnson?
Oh, I love talking about this. I was hoping that you guys would ask because I don't get many comments asking me my inspiration for him is. It's like he's like a mix of a lot of my favorite teachers over the years. Middle school did you guys go to, if you don't mind me asking? Because I know you guys went to West, but
I went to a private school.
Yeah,
went to private school. Okay.
I wasn't in the U.S. for most of middle school, and for like 8th grade, I was in private school. So Jasper was my first public school experience.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow, it must have been a wild one. You too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was for me too. It was very.
Man.
Kind of wish I dipped my toes into public school a bit earlier, but
Yeah.
That's all right.
That's a very you went in on hard mode, like.
Yeah. We skipped straight. We skipped the tutorials, everything. We just went straight into the boss fight.
The reason why I brought up middle school is because primarily, I guess by his appearance and his like job as a math teacher, Mr. Johnson is inspired by my 8th grade Algebra 1 teacher, Mr. Let's call him Mr. G. But yeah, he was at I was at Rice Middle School, and taught Algebra 1. He was awesome. He was really really kind, and like he was a younger guy, so he was like really cool with the students, and it's a really great teacher overall. But I'd say like for Mr. Johnson, sort of chaotic, goofy personality. I don't know if you guys know Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, the econ teacher at Plano West.
I've heard of him, but I haven't had him.
You heard of him? Oh, you didn't take him?
I had. Okay, so I didn't have Scott. I had Van Derven, but like the one class he came in was the best econ class I had.
Oh my god!
I've heard a lot about that.
Yeah, Van Derven mostly taught us through YouTube videos.
Was Van Derven the one that
tattoo?
Was Van Derven the one that looked like Lil Dicky a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
you know, now that you're saying that, I kind of see it.
He had the curly hair and everything, you know.
Yes.
He did.
He was such a character. Dude, I've like encountered so many teachers that were such characters over the years. Van Derven apparently like he would drink like an entire 2-liter bottle of Dr. Thunder a day, and then he said he lived only on canned green beans and corn. I was like,
I don't know about that.
You can't make that up. Like,
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he ate something else, but let's see the Dr.
Really
Thunder. Like, he's a character.
Like, how are you still alive?
I know,
yeah.
right? Like, simply protein deficient. But yeah, so Mr. Johnson, Mr. Scott, the really like a jovial, goofy teacher, and he always makes puns and likes to mess with the students. I remember this is something my friend told me. He didn't do it in my class. Mr. Scott, whenever students would come to him and be like, Mr. Scott, can we go over the test? He would like put the test on the table, and he would lean over it and be like, over it, and then he wouldn't answer any of their questions. That kind of sort of troll-like goofy humor is what I derive a lot of inspiration from Mr. Johnson. I would say Mr. Scott, and a little bit of my orchestra teacher, Mr. Ross, is like inspiration for character.
Okay.
But so visually, my middle school math teacher, and then personality-wise, a little bit of my orchestra teacher and PE econ teacher.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, and just like, I just wanted to know, like, what are some of the I'm sure there's some struggles you face with trying to maintain a consistent schedule with having an ongoing comic series going. So can you tell us some of those?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have like read my descriptions and stuff, but I probably often mention like, I'm sorry I've been gone for so long, or like, sorry this comic's taking a little longer than I thought. Just with my schedule as well, I'm pre-dental, but a lot of pre-medical and pre-dental people the same sort of rigorous academic schedule. It's a little hard to keep up with my comics, especially because I don't know if you know this, but I'm like super slow at drawing. So I'd say like, it's a little embarrassing to admit, but drawing one of those comics that on average are maybe 6 or 7 like panels fully colored, it takes me like 15 hours. So it's long. And then sometimes I'm saying like that, like on average, sometimes it'll be quicker depending on what's in them, like the level of detail. But I'd say whatever I've just already created, it takes a decent amount of time. So so what I try to do keep up with the schedule is I just like I'm sure you guys are both dabbled in arts, I'm sure, or I know Umar is a writer. Amaan, you're starting to draw a little bit.
All your
drawings. They're pretty good.
I actually drew Spider-Man sometime last week. I have a drawing of Spider-Man that I worked on a little bit. So
Hey, that's the one from Civil War.
Yeah, this when he picks up the shield.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. I just kind of do it for fun.
Yeah. Whenever you get into something that you love a lot, there's no amount of time that you wouldn't, I guess, sacrifice to that thing.
Yeah.
So what I would do, it's really unhealthy, but what I would do during the school year is I would finish my homework, probably 9 or something. I like to get it all done like as soon as possible. And then I would, chores and laundry or whatever, and then have free time at maybe 10 or 11 and then draw until like 3 a.m.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm sure a lot of artists will agree with me, like primarily night owls, I would say. And once you start, it's very hard to stop until you're
really
satisfied. Yeah, so it's kind of like
procrastinated your schoolwork with drawing.
Oh my god. So luckily eroticism over finishing schoolwork is just slightly greater than my passion for art. So what I'll do is I will run the hell out of my schoolwork, and then I would be lying if I said I didn't rush my work so I could draw, but I will never skip it and then save it for later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, save it for later, like some of
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something alluring about being creative at night. Like it feels a lot easier to put time and just express. Like even if you have time during the day, I feel like I found that it's a lot easier to create at night.
I agree. I don't know what it is about nighttime.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the moonlight or if it's just quieter. Like even if I'm completely alone in the house, it's a lot harder to write and do stuff in the daytime than it is at night. I don't know. Maybe your brain just works differently at night. I don't know.
Maybe you're just like closer to a dream state, so you're already thinking random, strange, creative thoughts.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, true. It's one thing that I do that is like pretty unhealthy, but like since I've been sleeping a bit late the past couple weeks, I'll like try to go to sleep and it'll be 30 in the morning. And then I'm falling asleep and just thinking about random things because that's usually when I get my ideas for stuff. Whenever I'm like trying to fall asleep, and I'll wake up and it's like 3 a.m. I'm like, I have an idea and I have to write it down. And then I'm like, crap. Now I have to like wait another half hour to try to get to falling asleep again. And,
yeah, we actually talked about this with Brendan in our last episode.
Oh, really?
Like the exact same thing where you're about to go to sleep, you come up with an idea, and then you have to write it down because otherwise you're going to forget.
Glad he's corroborated that because that's not just me.
Yeah, no, I'm developing a video game right now, and so I came up with the idea for that when I was about to fall asleep.
Oh my god!
I just like saw it, and so that's a cool story that you can tell people. It's like, yeah, I saw it in a dream.
Yeah, I came up with the idea for my I came up with the idea for my novel series in chemistry class, so that was also like when I was about to fall asleep.
Wow, amazing.
I'll tell you all about it later. But basically, I was thinking of how this is a very I guess abridged version of it, but you know how breaking the bonds between molecules creates energy, right? Right in extremely vague terms, right? There's a lot more to it, but that's the basic idea. So I was thinking about like different magic because I want to write a book with a magic system, and I wanted it a hard and fast magic system with rules in place, more like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, because so I think they're called hard and soft magic systems. So it might be a different terminology, but that's what I'm using right now. So stuff that's vague, like Gandalf and Lord of the Rings, you don't exactly know what you can do. You just know that he has a lot of power, and it works for him because he's this all-powerful, wise character. But for me, I was like, that's not gonna work for me. I don't like things to be vague when I'm writing. So I was like, okay. So I was like, what if you could make energy for your magic through a similar process? So I came up with this idea of soul bonds. Basically they're bonds that basically keep your soul attached to your body, right? So I was thinking, all right, if you break those, then you get the energy to perform various spells. So that's basically how I got the entire idea for my magic system.
That's pretty interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. That is a really interesting way. And I could ask you more about it, but I don't want to spoil the book. You have to people have to read it.
It's relevant because
Yeah.
you were in chemistry class when you were thinking of the idea, huh? About bonds breaking, releasing energy.
I feel like my creative process is a bit more reactionary. Because I talked about this in our last episode as well. Because I was listening to a song by My Chemical Romance, and there's this one song about vampires, right? And I was thinking about vampires' weaknesses, right? And one of them was staking them in the heart. And I was just thinking, that's not a very specific weakness. We're all weak to everything's weak to being staked in the heart.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's like saying your weakness is getting shot in the head. Like,
yeah.
That's not. It's not like kryptonite or garlic or something where it's like it's specific to them. We all have that weakness.
Yeah.
So I wrote
in a way, garlic bread is my weakness. So.
Yeah, so I wrote a little piece on it where a guy suspects his coworker is a vampire, so he's going and trying to get him to, you know, trying to figure out if he's a vampire. So he's like, all right, let's use sunlight. And he's like, well, not all vampires die because of sunlight. Like, Twilight, they sparkle. But then he was like, what if we try garlic? And he was like, well, what if he's just a regular guy with a garlic allergy? We'll get arrested. And then he's like, all right, fine, we'll stake him through the heart. And he's like, you moron, everyone dies if you stake him through the heart.
Sounds really
beautiful
good.
story.
I'll have to send that my way.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
I'm really interested.
So, Christy, how would you say if you had to vaguely describe your creative process, how you come up with ideas and how you come up with your own like creative style, like that's different from other people, like combining things and drawing in your own way. How does it go down?
It's a good question, and that's something I probably won't fully understand myself. I would say a lot of it kind of just happens, right? You guys can back me up on this. Like, I'd say for my artwork, it's probably 50% art technique and style, and 50% joke or comedic situation. So, I'd say like some artists is primarily about technique, or whenever like illustrators. There's a lot that goes into making the piece elicit the emotion they want, and like showing their knowledge of color theory and like anatomy and composition and things like that. But for me as a comic artist, I think the content is like just as important, or if not more important than the art style that it's drawn in. So I have to think about like what is funny, and I have to think about what's the best style to deliver the punchline the best, if that makes sense.
I know exactly what you mean, because somehow the story like goes with the way that the characters look, like their expressions, but just the art style in itself. There's like a whole vibe to it, with that. It's difficult to describe, but somehow you do such a good job of like creating that vibe. Well, like it just goes with the story, with the way the characters look, their expressions, and the whole art style in general. It's pretty good. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you. That's really high praise. Wish I could explain it a little better. Like a lot of it is kind of just, I'm not like a comedian or anything. And if anyone told me like to tell a joke on the spot, I'd probably come off as like massively unfunny. So, I guess a lot of it comes from just enough time laying in bed thinking about random things. And then usually it's what will end up being popular with my followers or popular with people on the platform. Sorry. Something that I find like really funny myself. And sometimes I'll have a couple duds where it's like I'd say it's a very trial and error process. So that I find funny. like ones that I know will last and age well and be popular are the ones that like I will laugh at when I'm creating them. So I don't know if you guys have seen my most popular post is stick figure post. It's like this 4-panel comic. Have you guys seen that one?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't think I have.
Yeah,
Well,
it's this
one...
4-panel.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll check it out for sure.
Stick figures, and then they're drawing, right, and one of them draws a stick figure because they're all stick figures. To them it's realistic, but the other guy draws this really a lot more to us more realistic looking, and the other stick figure is like, you're not very good at realism.
You'll have to see the comic, and I hope I didn't kill the joke. But yeah.
No,
excellent explanation.
That was a good explanation. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure I'll enjoy the comic just as much. But that kind of humor is just, it's lost, man. Like not as many. I feel like that's very specific to like the anime culture, because it's not like that kind of humor. You know what I'm talking about? It's just like we don't have that as much anymore. Like people just don't make those kinds of jokes anymore.
I would say my primary brand, and I'm not like the only one to do it or anything. That's like very popular on Instagram, but like I don't know, I don't really like mean humor all that much. I'm like a softie, I guess. So
a normie.
I like to go with a normie. Yeah, a normie. But it's like
yeah, go ahead.
It's like the sort of wholesome punchline, goofy situation humor that I like.
I get what you're saying, and yeah, it's a very specific kind of humor that I think some people like just don't like. But I don't know. I'm not very specific to my humor. I just laugh if you tell me so. I have a very strange sense of humor. It's like in Full Metal Alchemist, whenever someone calls Ed short, me and Umar just die laughing, and it's like because he just overreacts to someone calling him short, and it's like most people just wouldn't find that funny, but the fact that he's just overreacting every time someone calls him short is it's hilarious.
It somehow never gets old.
It's funny.
It's amazing.
It's great. Like when Josuke freaks out if someone insults his hair.
Oh yeah, I love that as well.
Yeah, that kind of situational humor where in the context it's the funniest shit ever. Sorry, are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
I don't know, but I guess now we are.
Sorry. It's the funniest thing ever. Yeah,
it gets demonetized.
I don't want you guys to get demonetized. Family friendly.
So we're not making anything off of this anyway.
Yeah,
we're making it a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're here for a good time, not a long time.
That's right.
We're gonna get banned, but you know.
Sorry, if I'm responsible.
No, it's okay.
That's fine.
If Joe Rogan can do it, we can do it.
You're right.
Exactly. Yeah. We're basically Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and just one more thing I wanted to go over before we conclude our segment. Just for people who are out there, looking to express themselves creatively or just trying to find something creative that works for them. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, that's a big thing actually that I think I've struggled with, and a lot of people probably have trouble with too. Like trying to find their unique voice, or in art, it would be your style, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say experimentation is definitely key. There's artist that I follow. His handle is at devin.draws, and we've spoken a couple times. He's really great about like experimenting and always pushing his limits to what he can do. His art, he does mostly like concept art and like a couple like comics and memes here and there. So he has a very versatile art. I would say definitely don't be afraid to try new things. I know that sounds like such a broad platitude, but it really is true, because especially with me, like I'll get really comfortable with doing one thing and I will do that thing forever just because like it's really safe and still really enjoyable. But I would say definitely don't be afraid to inspiration from other artists in the type of art that you're interested in. That's a really big thing. You see something that you, some work or some piece that you really like, don't be afraid to draw on that for inspiration. Draw on that.
This is the kind of humor we're talking about.
This is the kind of humor. I know it's so. Sometimes it's so stupid, but it's like
it's great.
This is like the 2 a.m. No wonder, like this is like the 2 a.m. like anything goes kind of humor. So, no wonder I think of all my ideas at night. Yeah, I would say definitely draw on other experts. Yeah, yes, crack at hours, absolutely. On other artists for inspiration, and never stop changing things up and keeping things fresh. I'd say that's the way to find, quickest way to find more unique voice in any type of medium. That's what I would say.
All right. Well, very good advice from a very good artist. And
be sure to follow her at spicy_ramen_arts. That'll be in the description. And be sure to follow us as well at A Cup of Coffee Pod on both Twitter and Instagram. And if you're interested in emailing us about the podcast, if you have a question, or if you want to be on the podcast, be sure to email us at acupofcoffeepod@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram or Twitter.
All right. Well, it's been fun, you guys, and I'll see everyone in the next one.
All right. See you next week, everyone.
Bye.